this is what I get for procrastinating. Yesterday it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sunlight. I would have had the perfect natural light because I don't have artificial like ring lights and stuff. I only have my room light. This is what I get. This is what I get for procrastinating. All right. Hey everyone. I know it's been a minute. Sorry, I say that like every single video, but I'm still just getting used to this. It's been rough. It's been rough. Today I wanted to just go over quickly like a great everyday look that's super easy to do. You can wear this to work, you can wear this to school, you can do this fairly quickly. It's gonna take me a while, so this video might seem a little bit long, but that's mostly just because I'm talking through things, and that has absolutely nothing to do with how long it actually takes to do. So this is a very simple, easy, bronzy look. If you go and look at my previous video for complexions, then you'll be able to see a little bit more in depth about how to get the perfect blank canvas to do anything else that you want. But without further ado, let's just get into it. All right, so I've already got my primer on, just been using what I normally use. If you have any questions about anything that I'm using, be sure to check down in the description. I always write down what I'm using. Also, sorry if my face looks really pale. I did put on sunscreen, which does leave the sunscreen I use does leave a little bit of a white cast. And that's why there's like such a disparity. I don't tan my body or my face, but I might start. I just got these a sample of the Isle of Paradise tanning drops, so I might keep you guys posted on how that works. So for the sake of this, I'm going to start with a tinted moisturizer. You can use a regular foundation if you want. The reason why I'm not is just because my skin, with the changing of the weather as we're going more into fall, into winter, has gotten a little bit drier. I still have oily skin, but it just has, I've been feeling that it feels a little bit dry recently. I noticed that ever since I came back from like the Midwest, from Iowa, my skin freaks out every time the weather changes, I think in anticipation for how cold it was. So that's pretty much why. You can use a regular foundation though, it will work the same. I like to start at the center of the face and work my way out, because typically around the center of the face, and I think I mentioned this in the complexion video, it's where the most discoloration is. It's where our hormones come through the most, usually like around the nose and the mouth, and then on the cheeks a little bit, and then making sure that I have less product as I move out towards the perimeter of the face. This is also the oil-free version of a tinted moisturizer. If you have oily skin like myself, I definitely recommend going with an oil-free formulation versus one that is not, because it will just help your skin regulate itself a lot easier. Building that coverage. Anywhere where I want more coverage, I bounce my brush or my sponge. So that's typically, well, that's not typically, it is for me, just right around the center of my face. Also making sure that I buff around the perimeter to make everything look blended. All right, so because I'm using a cream blush today, I might actually use two, but I'm gonna use this cream blush. I've been trying to use it up as per my Project Pan video. I'm going to use this blush. Normally I would powder a little bit of my face a bit more before going in with powder, but because it's a cream, I don't enjoy putting creams on top of powders. I just find that for the most part it doesn't work, and for this specific formulation it definitely doesn't work. So I'm just going to go ahead, kind of smile. I'm putting that a little bit higher up on the cheek. So one thing that's really important is you want to build up on your face. Gravity, age, everything, it's always dragging you down. So it's always really important to blend upwards. And you can also, depending on your face shape, blend, like play with the placement of product. But for the most part, just kind of on the cheek, perhaps even a little bit further out than you would think. If you have really nice, rounded, high cheekbones, you can put it a little bit further. If you're someone, I'm trying to think of someone who has like really nice, like Jaclyn has a good example of that, where she can put a bit more product on her cheeks. I like to build it up and put it up on my cheekbone. And then I also like to put some on my forehead and on the bridge of my nose, just a little bit, not too much, just because I find that kind of gives a more natural look. When you get flush naturally, like say you were to run around the block or something really quickly, you don't just get flush on your cheeks, your whole face gets flush. And so I find that when I do put it on my forehead, right here, I don't really go in the center at all, but kind of right above my eyebrows and then on the bridge of my nose, a little bit. I don't go quite as colorful as I do on my cheeks. It helps to show a little bit more of a natural look, a little bit more of a natural flush that would happen all over your face as opposed to just on the cheeks. And now, because I have oily skin, if you don't, that's all right. I am going to go in with a little bit of powder. I also really love the way that the glow that this product gives in particular. This is the Hourglass Ambient Light Powder in Dim Light. This is also a great powder. They have different, obviously they have like different lights. They have one that's more yellow tone. This is a true neutral. And then they have one that's a yellow tone. So yellow, pink, and neutral. And then if you have a foundation that's like a little bit too yellow or a little bit too pink, and you're a neutral, or like if it's a little bit too neutral and you're kind of, it's just not quite the right undertone, if you have this powder in the corresponding undertone that works really well for you, it just perfectly neutralizes the color. So that's partly why I mostly just use it, because I like the glow that it gives, and then it helps powder my face without it looking heavy like at all. Now let's go into contour and bronzer. So you can see this is another product I'm working my way through. Now this is my bronzer color and this is my contour. It's slightly darker, and then this one is, they're both pretty warm. This is actually like a very warm tone duo, but this one is slightly more cool toned. And this one has like a bit more of like a shimmer, a true matte. So I'm going to take this side and start bronzing up my face. And then starting right where the contour of my cheek is, you shouldn't really like do it like while you're sucking in your cheeks or anything. Get more familiar with your face. It's a lot easier to do. And like I said, blending up. If you notice, I am taking small circles, but I'm blending up as I go. And then I like to go into the hairline. I know I'm kind of holding the brush pretty in the middle. Sometimes it even may look like I'm holding it quite close to the brush, to the tip of it. That's just because I've become so accustomed to my face and doing it with my pressure. If I was doing it on a client, I would keep it further back just so that I don't over apply the product. But because it is my own face and I can feel the pressure, I know what what it's supposed to feel like. But that's a tip for, you know, if anyone ever gets to work on clients again. All right, so that's pretty much it for the bronzer. Now I'm going to take a slightly smaller brush. As you can see, this one's fluffier. This one's technically a blush brush, but I like that it's kind of bigger. It's easier to just fluff everything out with. And then whereas this is smaller but also fluffy, it gives a bit more precision to the placement. And I'm just dipping this into the matte side, the contour side. And I'm really only keeping that right at the top. Like I'm not going any further than right there. And same concept, blending up, and then I kind of do it right here, kind of on either side of my widow's peak. I weirdly like to contour that. And then you could do this with a smaller brush, but again, it's mostly for the sake of time. I pinch my brush like this, go on the side of my nose, and then right here I like to really buff it out underneath my eyebrow, because that will help us begin the shadow for the eyeshadow, and it also helps contour the face. You don't have to contour. Ooh! Drop my brush. You really don't have to contour on your nose that much at all. That's why I like to do it lightly. And then I even like to take a tiny bit and do that right underneath my lower lip to add fullness. It's like a little bit of added fullness. So now this has no more excess product. I'm wiping it off. And I'm just blending the two together. Blending the bronzer and the contour together. Just like that. And I like to kind of go like that so that there's no harsh lines. Contour, while you do want to create definition, you never want it to be overly harsh unless you're doing like stage makeup or even drag to some extent, where purposefully, shall we say, over the top. Otherwise, it's just going to look really unnatural. So already we've got a really nice bronze face going on. I think I'm going to take a little bit more blush. Yeah, I'm taking my Patrick Ta. Ugh, I love the packaging, but it got so dirty so fast. It's my fault. And this is in the color She's Seductive. And I'm really just taking a tiny bit of that. This one you don't need a lot. Just kind of going lightly over top. There we go. And a little bit of highlight. Now I think this is an old trick that technically, I saw it in a Raw Beauty Christy video, but I think technically it originates with Jaclyn. Well, I don't know if she came up with it, but I think it's kind of, Christy got it from Jaclyn Hill at any point. And this is my damp sponge that I used for the rest of my face. And I'm taking my highlight on it. And I'm just going on the high points. And I also like to do it right above the highest point of the arch of my brow, because that's like a non-surgical brow lift. Honestly, like so much of what I talk about is about lifting the face, because it looks so nice. And gravity is already working against you. So many things are already working against you. That makeup can be a great way to counteract that. And you just got to do it subtly. And I also like to do it on the tip of my nose and in between my eyes. And even a little bit. Just like that. Alright, now I'm going to do my brows really quickly. I don't really think it's worth showing, but I'm going to show it anyway. Just because I don't actually do too much to them. I pretty much just take a spoolie and brush through them. There's no product. And then because I have pretty full brows as it is, I just take this one, which is the Sephora Bow Brow. It's a big old brow pencil. Brow crayon, really. And I go against the growth of the hair. And I just follow the natural shape of my brow. And then I pretty much just brush through them again to make sure that nothing looks too harsh. Now we're going into eyes. This is the part that kind of ties everything else together, but it's so easy and it doesn't take very long at all. I'm just going in with my eye primer. This is a MAC Paint Pot. I'm taking a thin layer of that and just going everywhere. You really don't need too much eye primer. I know the trend is sort of like using really thick, like super thick concealer-like textures and just packing that on your lid. The lid is very delicate, and I don't know about y'all, but I got wrinkly lids because I rub my eyes because I have horrible allergies. We've already been over this a million times. And so if I were to go in with that much product, there would be so much creasing and it would just feel so heavy. So I just take a little bit and I kind of sheerly put it everywhere, and honestly that's all you need. You don't need any more than this. Now I take a fluffy brush. This is my favorite. It's the MAC 224 brush. It's so old. I've had this since middle school. It's like finally starting to like not work as well as it once did. And I'm just taking the contour shade from what I used on my face, and I'm starting to carve out. I'm sort of like contouring my eyes. This is a really great way to minimize product, so you don't have to feel like you need to buy a bunch of different eyeshadow palettes. If you already have one that has like a great neutral brown, I'm sure you do pretty much. I think that's like everyone's first palette is like a neutral palette because hello, they work for everything. You can use neutrals all the time. But I like to contour, basically contour my eyes. So I follow the natural contours of my crease. When I push in with my brush and then kind of going up, I like to create a contour here. I blend up. You see how my brush is? It's pointing pretty much straight up like this, and it's getting into this crevice here. Now, if you have hooded eyes or you've got a lot of space but your eye is quite small, you can create kind of the false crease. You can put it wherever you want, really. I'm just doing the exact same on the other side. All right, so you can kind of leave it like this if you want, but if you want to go a little bit deeper, if you want a little bit more definition, just take a similar kind of matte, warmer brown, or it could be cooler brown if you want. And I'm just gonna keep that pretty much on the outer third to add a little bit more definition. Now you take kind of a fluffier pencil brush, and I'm gonna take that darker shade out of this one. If you're not using this, just take your original contour shade, and I'm just using that to go underneath. And I'm keeping this one really close to the lash line. Just like that. And I'm holding it like really far down. You don't want to be too grippy with this one. And now you can take a fluffier brush. You can use the original one. This is just a clean one that I have because I clean my brushes. Look at me, I'm on a roll. And I'm going into my original contour shade, this one. And then because it's a fluffy brush, I can take that a little bit more messily on the underside just to help blend everything together. Now, if you wanted, you could finish here. You could just pretty much do mascara and add lashes if you want and call it a day, but I love adding a little bit of a wing. I can't help it. It's what I've done since I pretty much started wearing makeup. So I'm going to continue with this palette, and I'm just going to use the black shade. Again, you don't have to use this palette. You probably own a black shade. Just use any black shadow and an angled brush and you'll be good. The reason why I prefer using a powder for this look is just because it's, one, super easy, and two, it doesn't look harsh. You can use a regular liquid or gel eyeliner if you want, but I just like this because it's easy. It's not very, it's kind of hard to mess it up. I'm just kind of going like that, letting my brush do the majority of the work, and I'm gonna do a half wing, not a full wing. Go a little too big, like I did with this one. Like if I look at them, this one's nice, kind of small. This one's a little bit bigger. Instead of going back and forth and doing the eternal fight of like making one bigger, then making the other one bigger, then making the other one bigger, what you can do is you can take whatever brush that you used, or even your sponge that you used to do your complexion. So just take a sponge and clean up like this. Just like that. And then you can take the fluffy brush that you were using, go like this, like that. No problem. And now I'm just gonna do mascara and lashes, and that's pretty much it. And then for lip, you can kind of just go bare. You can put on a really easy lip gloss. The nice thing about this look, this makeup look, is that you can pair it with literally any single lip. I'm going to show you two lip options. I'm going to do one nude and then one red lip, just to kind of prove my point that this really goes with anything. See? Perfect neutral look. And here you have a bright, bold red. So As you can see, really versatile. It works for anything. And yeah, I'm actually going to take this off because I actually want a different color for this look today. All right, and this is the finished look. It's super easy, super quick if you're not talking and explaining your way through it. So I recommend that you give it a try. Let me know. Like I said, it works for pretty much anything. Work, school, an office. Yeah, just a quick little thing. You can kind of play around with complexion to see if you really want something more full coverage or more like just concealer, whatever works for you, whatever is easiest for you. So yeah, definitely give it a try and let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know what else you want to see down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.